All right, so I'm here with the cabinet that I'm going to be using for the Ghost microphone exhibit, and this video is for Adam Stone. Adam had a question. He was wondering whether or not I actually had permission to do something with this priceless family heirloom. So I'm coming to the source to make sure that I have permission. This is my mom, Mary Ann. Say hi. And I brought Mom into the workshop today to tell us a little bit more about where this cabinet came from and to let everyone know that I do actually have permission to modify it for my crazy museum thing. So this was in a house that you moved into, right? How old were you?
I was in 7th grade.
Okay.
And we moved into a house in Chevy Chase that was fully furnished.
Okay, okay.
The old guy that had lived there before, he was moving on and left everything behind.
Okay.
So this was part of the dining room set.
Okay,
and it sat in the corner of the dining room in Chevy Chase. It wasn't a very big dining room, so and my mom stored dishes in the top of it. She had, she had china that she stored in the top of it. We didn't really think of it as an heirloom because we never bought it and it wasn't like passed down through the family.
Sure.
But there is a story that whenever anybody in my family mentions this piece, there's a story that goes along with it.
Yes.
And it happened on June 22nd, 1963.
Oh, wow. We know.
I know exactly when it happened. As it happens, my little brother, Tom, we called him Tombo, he was about 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
And on June 22nd, 1963, my mother went into labor with my youngest sibling.
Right.
So Mom and Dad weren't home because they were in the hospital having a baby.
That's reasonable, sure.
And Tombo was home with we can't remember who.
Not a good, some not ill-equipped babysitter. It might
have been Kathy.
Okay,
although she has no recollection of this.
Okay. Block that out.
Block that out. But Tombo knew that not only did Mom store china in the top, she stored candy down in the bottom.
Yes.
And so he went to get some candy. Now, as you can see, it's really hard to get.
I mean, yeah, it's
the bottom is hard to get open.
Sure.
And as you can see, it's also rather
heavy. We can see where this is going, right?
Yes. He went to get the candy, and the whole thing came crashing down. It didn't hit him. It hit the dining room table.
Okay.
Things crashed, dishes broke.
Because this was the top half was full of china, right?
The top half was full of china, and I was just looking on here to see it.
Sure.
And he said, so there he was under the table with all this big
Right.
And that's the story of this.
And the glass, I mean, the fact that this is original glass, you know?
As far as we know.
Right, I mean, you guys never replaced
And I just talked to him today.
Okay.
He's not 7 anymore.
Right. Good.
But he said it was a miracle.
Yeah.
That he didn't get crushed.
That's so crazy. Well, and I mean, I of course grew up hearing that story.
Yes.
And certainly word to the wise for me, if I'm going to be putting this in a public space, first of all, it probably will not have glass.
Okay.
For all sorts of reasons. But then definitely there should be some weight in the bottom or anchored to the wall.
Absolutely.
Which is why they have that kit with everything you get from IKEA now.
I mean, this is really impossible to do.
Yeah.
So that's, and you are welcome
thank you.
Use it. And
we have that on record.
Keep it in perpetuity.
And so the only other, we know when the actual date of the accident, which is funny, 7th grade, but I'm just trying to figure out how old it is. So like this, I mean, presumably they had it in their house.
It was already there in like I think we moved into the house about 61 or 62.
Okay.
You know,
sure.
And by the way, the baby was a boy, and his name is Timothy.
Yes.
And he's going to turn 60 this year.
Okay, right.
So he was.
So yeah, the date of this tipping over, almost killing your brother, was 60 years ago. So presumably, so I mean, it's 100 years old.
It could
right?
very well be 100 years old.
The fact that it's it probably was not a brand new thing that the previous family bought, going into it.
It really we had kind of a big family, and really wouldn't have been something that my parents would have purchased, because it wasn't really a very practical piece of furniture for a family, but it was already in the house.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
There were a lot of things in that house that were like really cool that we would never have hadn't been. The man that had owned the house before, I just happen to remember his name was Mr. Truebody.
Oh, good to know. Okay.
And my father used to say Mr. Truebody this and Mr. Truebody that.
That's what we do, the exact same thing here in this house. Like we know the names of the previous two owners. So
like Mr. Truebody was he was real frugal apparently, because he had 40-watt bulbs in every single light fixture, and lamp was like really dim.
Okay, right, because not these. Okay, all right, that's funny. Well, it'll probably be pretty dim by the time. I mean, there are going to be lights in it, and but you know, probably. Well, cool. I love knowing that it's Mr. Truebody's. I need to work that in somehow, or just a little nod or something. So awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming to
and I'm happy for you to have it and repurpose it.
Okay, excellent. There you go, Adam. Take that. All right, thank you all.